Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Predator, Killer of Killers. This is the latest Predator film, and it is the first animated Predator film, which is also under the tutelage of Dan Trachtenberg, who has sort of taken over the Predator franchise after he directed Prey, which was really great. He also is one of the credited directors here. I'm not sure how involved he was because he also has Predator Badlands, which is coming out in theaters later this year. And I know that more franchises are considering doing sort of animated entries now. Particularly Hollywood kind of looks at them as I can spend a little bit less and it can go on the streaming service or make its budget back or something. Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim is one. This is another. And it's a cool trend in theory, as long as you make a good movie. Didn't work out so well with Lord of the Rings, even though I liked it, despite it not being good. This is an actual good movie. It's a very structured movie. It's a kind of almost it's pretty much an anthology film, an animated anthology film, which all culminates into something. I think a lot of times, these kind of anthology things, it does feel sort of loose, and you're like, why was this before this? And I guess I'm sort of with it. This, it feels different in each segment, but it all is culminating towards something, which is the end part. This is very much a 4-act structure kind of thing. 3-act structure is usually just to talk about beginning, middle, and end. It isn't a real way of writing. It's more of a good way of referring to things. However, this is definitely a 4-act thing because there's 4 parts that are definitely there. Anyway, take a screenwriting class, leave me alone. But the Predator, Killer of Killers is interesting in that each time a Predator goes to Earth during different time periods. You have a Viking, you have, I guess it's a samurai, kids who are trained by samurai. They're not wearing all the armor, but they're pretty much samurai. And then a World War II pilot, and they all have various fights with a Predator and then are ultimately collected. And I guess Predators can do time travel. It doesn't really get into that. Or they just collect these people over time. I'm not exactly sure. They're basically collected to obviously have, a big fight because it's a Predator movie. I personally like animated action when there's not a lot of talking and it's very pro visuals, much like what I like about Primal. In live action sense, I've only seen really Prey do that, but I like action where it's just you're just seeing them fight. There's a physicality to it. It's more spoken through the visuals and less dialogue, and you can do a lot of more interesting, cooler and gruesomer stuff if you do that. And this follows in that tradition. There's a part in the one that's called The Shield about the Viking where she has 2 shields that are kind of broken, and she basically is how are we going to get into this fortress? And she just kills a bunch of people with her shields, and it's really gory. And then the other Vikings come in, and it's all done as one shot, and then ends in this perfect button sort of way. And that was probably my favorite sequence maybe in the whole film. I thought it was one of my favorite action sequences I've seen this year. It was very much going for it. I was whoa, this is just I understand it's not as crazy if you had shot an actual, action sequence that wasn't animated and stuff, but that was really amazing, as well as the samurai one, or whatever they are. I guess they're samurais. The samurai one, where I don't think you hear anyone talk until towards the end of that segment, which I didn't even realize because I was so engrossed in it. And then you're oh right, nobody's said nothing for a while. And the World War II one, I guess, is I don't want to say it's the worst, but Michael Biehn is in that one. He's the only major casting, but he's Michael Biehn, so to me that's a pretty big deal. I don't know. But that he doesn't play the World War II play. He plays a mentor, but that one wasn't as good, but I still liked it a lot. It's more air. The other 2 are hand to hand, sort of what you saw in Prey kind of thing, and this is a different thing, which I liked. They could have maybe picked different kinds of warfare with each one or something like that, but I liked all the segments a lot. So if you do another one, maybe have them all be different. I don't love this design and this character design style at all. I really don't like it, and I wish they'd actually just get someone hand-drawn to do it. I know they got the third floor, which is typically a special effects company, so it was a little different than just getting an animation company. This is sort of co-director. The animation director was Joshua Wasong, who I suspect maybe did more of the directing than Dan Trachtenberg, but I wasn't there, so I don't know. Maybe the production pipelines were cleared for him to do both, but I wanted to mention the other guy as well. So I can understand how this is not exactly like most animated stuff, but the movement when these characters were moving and fighting and stuff, the character design didn't bother me then at all. Like, the movement worked perfectly well. They got that down exactly. I was more just, I don't like this kind of design, but I did quite like this film. I think the thing is, like, you're only really going to be watching this if you know what Predator is and you were into Prey, and I think, like, this isn't even trying to do a crossover thing. That's another reason why I think studios are thinking about doing more of these, because they're sort of easy things. You can, like, get the fan base excited, give them another title to be into, and you don't have to do, like, a mass market thing and stuff like that. This is definitely better than Lord of the Rings, and I used to see those like I reviewed Hulk versus forever ago, and I like kind of like spin-off animated things. I think it is a cool idea, and this is one that really had fun with it a lot. And I am curious, like, to me a lot of this felt like Trachtenberg, like very similar to what he did with Prey, and other than Primal with Gendy, I don't really see a lot of people doing similar things like this. I am a little sad it's just going to Hulu. Seeing that Viking thing sequence made me go, oh, it'd be kind of nice if I could see this. If I'd seen this in theaters. It looks like amazing. It looks like better than any action sequence. A lot of the action sequences I can think of this year. And same with the samurai one. The World War II one is fine. It's just like, it is a different thing, and I think like when you're so set up with like the kind of more physical hand, combat, I guess like weapon versus thing kind of battle, it's a little jarring. But I think it works as an anthology thing. I think it works as a Predator movie, but I think, even going back to the first Predator always felt like what you imagine Most Dangerous Game is, even though I do believe they made a good Most Dangerous Game movie, in classic Hollywood, but it just felt like more of like that suspense, scariness, like fighting this ultimate predator against yourself and things. And I think like the original one, I never felt that same way about any of the others, and I do feel that way about Prey and this one. And the Prey and Killer of Killers might be my second and third favorite of the Predator films. I've seen a lot of them, but I never really fell in love with them as much as these two. They have an energy to them, they have an immediacy to them, and also the characters have like, pretty simple, like, this is my brother, this is how I feel this way, this is the kind of person I am. With the Viking woman, it's like, oh, this is my son, this is why I'm on this quest and things. You understand their morals and stuff like that. Certainly, yes, it is not as much characterization as like watching an hour and a half movie with just that character, but I thought they did a pretty good job of explaining what you needed from them. It's a very lean, very tight kind of movie, something that we don't get enough of, and something I quite liked about this one. I like how lean it sort of was. It sort of was like, we're going to do our thing, this is the thing we want to do, and then we're going to get out of here. And they really weren't, other than like some things at the very end or something, they weren't as interested in like the references and stuff like that, which I also like about it. I think it's like, you look at this versus like Alien Romulus, and that has like so many references and is like very expecting you to know all this stuff before and be like wowed by the references. And even though this is like more, for fans only, I'd say just by how it was released and stuff, I also think it's less heavy on the references. I'm sure there are ones I didn't get, and like some Predator was holding a thing and that references this and stuff. That's fine. I don't care. But like the Alien Romulus was very like, oh yeah, you remember Alien. Oh yeah, you remember Aliens. Like, it had that, and I didn't feel like that as much with these. It feels like it's just getting more the attitude and the vibe of the Predator, which is like what you want from the Legacy sequels. Ultimately, there's a reason why like Creed was such a, like, I think Creed's probably my favorite one, where it like took Rocky and recontextualized it. And I think this is like, well, this is semi, I guess, it's not really, but it's more like getting Predator back to its core thing while also not being so reference heavy. It's like, what if I put the Predator here in this time of history, or mess with this kind of person, or have this cool sequence? Like, it's more about that than it is reminding you, there's no part where someone says get into the chopper, but like if if Fede Alvarez from Alien Romulus was directing this, they would have said get into the chopper, and somebody would have done the hand thing, and like, I don't know, Carl Weathers would have walked by. It's just like all sorts of stuff would have, Jesse Ventura would have a voice role. So stuff like that. And this is sort of like, just trying to do the best story that this kind of character can create, which I thought was a lot better. And this kind of continues what you're getting from Prey. It is not as good as Prey, but I thought as a kind of like animated anthology thing, it was really good. If you're into Predator stuff, I highly recommend it. And I think it shows like what the best of what a studio can do with some of this stuff is like really get in there with the characters and do like just a solid, tight story that you can sit there and have a cold beer with. But I honestly think this is a lot better than that, because some of these sequences are better with the action. When the samurai's attacking the fortress, that's amazing. When she, again, like when she's fighting with those two shields, I thought that was really cool. And then when they're fighting the Predator, and then even the stuff in the sky was really cool. Hearing Michael Biehn again was awesome. This is a really solid animated action movie, probably one of the more solid ones America has made in quite a bit. And I think it's because it understood what you wanted from this kind of movie. It wasn't as interested in just, reminding you that Predator was there. Predator was there, and Predator's going to show up eventually. So just chill the fuck out and watch this cool past violence action sequences, and then you get a Predator action sequence, and then you get even more Predators. You found a way to kind of feed the audience and remind you why you liked Predator without having to remind you to get back into the chopper, which I think this movie is a lot better for. Understanding what you want from a Legacy sequel is to remind you that kind of a story, not remind you of a story that was a lot better in the past. So if you have seen Predator, Killer of Killers, and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.